And here we go on our Wednesday edition of the Orange and Brown Talk podcast. Mary Kay, we are going to look ahead to training camp. It's getting closer and closer, and we're going to name some players that we are excited to watch this year in training camp. I put a post up at cleveland.com/Browns on Tuesday. And so let's just get right to it. We'll alternate here and throw them out one by one. And I'm just going to start with the guy we have talked a lot about. He had a great spring, especially when we were out there. I'm putting Ronnie Harrison on my list. He was actually the first guy that I mentioned. We've talked about how he just didn't really have a ton of time last year. He got drafted 10 days before, or not drafted, traded for 10 days before the start of the season, played just 25 snaps over the first 4 weeks of the season, had a shoulder injury later in the year that kind of derailed him after he had been starting for a little while. But Joe Woods had great things to say about Ronnie. He's kind of what they want in a safety. And with Grant Delpit coming back from that Achilles injury and us not really knowing exactly where he'll be on September 12th, there's a real opportunity here for Harrison.
Yeah, I think there really is. And in addition to Grant coming off of the ruptured Achilles and perhaps maybe needing a little bit of time to ramp up into where he's going to be, you might also want to have the experience factor when you're going against the Kansas City Chiefs. Grant Delpit, although the potential is tremendous, has never played in an NFL football game before. And therefore, you might want to throw Ronnie Harrison out there against the likes of, Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce and Patrick Mahomes. And, it just might be that element that you want. Somebody that is not going to have some new wrinkle thrown at them, because you can bet that Andy Reid will have new wrinkles for the Cleveland Browns on September 12th.
Okay, Mary Kay, who is your first name you want to throw out here?
Well, I think just judging from the post that you put up on cleveland.com, I see that you're doing some, kind of the more little underrated sleeper type of guys. I'm just going to dive right in and go with some of the guys that I really am going to be focusing on a lot in that first week of training camp. Guys that I think are going to make a huge impact for this football team this year. And guys that I think that we're all going to be abuzz about. So the first one I have is Jadeveon Clowney. Who is Jadeveon? What is he going to do? Is he recovered? Because he's coming off of a torn meniscus himself. It cost him a lot of last season, not just the games he missed, but he wasn't himself before that because he was suffering from that. So now he's healthier. He looks better. He looks kind of lean and mean and in good shape. He looks like he's fitting in. And this is a chance for him to get back to sort of his glory days when he played with J.J. Watt in Houston. So really looking forward to what he brings to the table. And I think he's so excited to play with Miles. You saw it, Dan. Those two guys were head to head a lot during mini camp. They spent a lot of time talking, going over things after drills, goofing around, having fun together. I'm really excited to see what Jadeveon Clowney is going to bring to the table.
I'm going to go with the other guy here on that line that I put on my list, and that's Tack Mckinley. So we'll kind of talk about him a little bit too. McKinley, a guy who, I admitted when I wrote it that I was a little bit cynical of the signing, but when they added Clowney, it kind of became like, all right, now McKinley's not your number 2, he's your number 3. And so now you can kind of put him, if you're Joe Woods and Chris Kiffin, you can put him in this position where he doesn't have to be like on the field every snap. You can put him in positions where his speed and the things he does well can be accentuated. And I think that's going to help him. I think him being more situational is going to help him be better this year and maybe start to develop into what he could have been when he was taken in the first round last year. So he was the guy that I had on my list as I want to see, is that speed still there? Are those traits still there? Are those things that maybe the Browns liked back when they were going through the draft process in 2017? Are those things still there? And can he, maybe revive his career, and who knows, maybe he becomes the number 2 pass rusher at some point. Okay, who's your second name to throw out there?
Well, surprise, surprise. Again, I'm doing like the bigger name guys that we all want to see what they have this summer. So I'm going to go with Odell Beckham Jr. I really cannot wait to see the kind of training camp that he has. We saw glimpses of it in minicamp, and we've seen glimpses of it as he has been practicing in Camp Mayfield down in Austin. We've seen some of those one-handed catches. We've seen the amazing lightning speed back again. We've seen cutting on a dime, We've just seen the old Odell. I mean, it's almost like he's a freak of nature. I can't believe he's doing these things 7 months out of ACL surgery. I mean, you talk about guys coming off of an ACL. There are certain positions where you can come back from an ACL, you're an offensive lineman or something. But to be able to do what you have to do at the level you have to do it as a wide receiver and have your speed and have your cutting ability and all of that, to be performing at the level that he is right now, so soon out of surgery, it's mind blowing. And I can't wait to see what he's going to do in training camp.
Yeah, Odell is, I mean, look, you can't go wrong picking that one. Coming off the injury, how fast is he? Are we seeing these cuts? We don't know what the situation is going to be with fans at camp, but whatever they get to watch, whenever they're there, whatever it looks like, is he going to put on a show for them? I mean, he's one of those guys you've got to watch if you're a fan at camp, because he'll make those one-handed catches and he'll do the things that, you got to watch him warm up, because he'll do spectacular things during warm-ups. And coming off that injury and seeing just how close to 100% he is, it's maybe the biggest storyline going into camp. I don't know if there's another one. It's kind of how healthy is Odell Beckham Jr.
Absolutely. And not only how healthy is Odell Beckham Jr., but how does he look with Baker Mayfield? That is like the big question that everybody wants to know. Are these guys going to be able to make some beautiful music together this year? Are we going to see what we have been waiting to see since the Browns first acquired Odell Beckham Jr. in a trade?